All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's what are we today? Wednesday? Yes, it is Wednesday afternoon
Wednesday.
here in beautiful far North Queensland. It's a little bit overcast today, so I will want to welcome everybody. Also, I want to welcome Mr. Bill Kentish to the channel. So, Bill, I've known, I don't know, 10 years, maybe a little bit
Yeah, I
less
reckon
than
been.
that, roughly. So just to give people a bit of a background, Bill and I used to race together when I used to do triathlons. I'm not sure
Yeah,
what Bill's capacity is at the moment, but I don't race triathlons anymore. So I hung up my boots probably about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, give or take. So that's how Bill and I know each other. I know Bill's a great athlete. He gets out there, gives it a go, and a pilot to boot as well. So Bill, I've managed to grab Bill while he's grounded in Australia for the moment before he flies overseas again. So Bill, thank you for taking part in this chat this afternoon. I do really appreciate it. And I really appreciate your thoughts and perspectives and all that kind of stuff when it comes to men's health and mental health. So thank you for joining in this afternoon. So kind of really want to touch on
oh,
obviously the
my pleasure,
conversations.
Ben.
Thanks, mate. So the conversations that we've been having with different people, it's always around men's health, and obviously with Movember coming up shortly. Oh, Bill's frozen. Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
sorry, mate.
yeah,
Just give
there.
me 1 minute.
No, you're right. So while Bill's doing that, so I've literally just finished work. So I made the mad dash home to make sure everything's all ready for him. So and Bill was early, so I do appreciate that. So yeah, it's actually been an interesting day just in regard into the people that I have had conversations with. You know, I deal with a lot of different people from all walks of life throughout the country. So it's always an interesting day, and it's never the same from one day to the next. All right, how you going, Bill?
I just 1 minute, mate. I'll just see if I can get a better connection.
No, you're right. You're right. It did.
Are you
It
hearing
did.
me okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No dramas. We're still recording, so it's
All good.
all technical
Yeah,
fun and games with technical stuff. It's all good. So yeah, and obviously a lot of these chats I've been having over the last 2 to 3 weeks, they're going to be put on online throughout the month of November. So, and with obviously November coming up pretty soon, it's a good opportunity to do something a little bit different for myself. For me, it's always a physical aspect when I'm partaking in November. So I thought let's slightly change it a little bit and let's just kind of get some perspective and some thoughts from different people from different walks of life, different ages, different ethnic backgrounds, and kind of get a little bit of an idea from their point of view about what's not just men's health, but women's health as well, and everybody's health and mental health, and kind of get an understanding of their feelings and what they have experienced in their lives. Now, obviously, we are not trained professionals. We are given our opinions on what we've experienced and what we've done in our lives. So, please, if you have any concerns, any issues about your own mental health, then please seek support. There is support out there, and hopefully they'll be able to assist. So, how are we going, Bill? All
all
good to
good. All
go?
good. You can hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, mate. No dramas at
All right.
all. So
Excellent.
it's all good. All
Hopefully we're
part.
stable enough to keep going. No.
That's fine. You know, it's all good. So yeah, just giving yourself a bit of a just have a message there about. unstable internet. That's okay. We'll persevere. So yeah, it's just getting, for myself, when and we can talk about the aspects of triathlon as an example. I've had the conversation with many people that triathlon is a very individual sport. You are in for yourself, but you are competing against hundreds, if not thousands, of other races, and it can really have an impact on somebody's ability to race. And a lot of people going for a good time, they want to beat that time, they can get disheartened from people who have overtaken them, for example. So it can really have an impact on their overall health. And I know I did experience it a lot. When I last raced in Thailand in Bang Sang, um, my coach at the time, we were talking about, should I see a psychologist? And I ended up seeing a sports psychologist. But it wasn't just about the sport aspects. It was about, there are other aspects involved, not just sport related. So I'm not sure if you can give a little bit of insight into your own experience when it came to racing. You don't race now, do you?
I'm getting back into it, Ben. So
Yeah, imagine. Yeah, yeah.
it's an interesting thing. I guess I kind of got into or back into sport via cycling. You know, to give myself a little bit of space. I found that was a good way to was healthy for me, for my mental health as well as my physical health.
Yeah.
And then I kind of got into the triathlon side of it, and yep, it's a really individual sport. You and I were very lucky to be a part of a training group that that was very inclusive, very supportive, and in that way, that was also very healthy. I think making connections with new people, people with similar interests, but people from all different walks of life. And then the actual racing side of it, you start for a bit of fun or a challenge. You do a few races, and you get you might find that little bit of a competitive edge you've still got, and then that puts more pressure on you, right? So you start to get a bit more competitive and put a bit more pressure on yourself to perform. So it's a funny, it's a bit of a circle, one of those cycles that sort of ups and downs, and it's helpful, but it also can be detrimental to your mental health a little bit as well if you start to really put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, that's it. And obviously we are talking from our own point of view. We can't talk on
Absolutely.
behalf of anybody else. We can't talk on behalf of anybody's ability as coach or as an athlete. So it's our own experiences. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it is good having that um, support base within a coaching team. Absolutely. But then when you're out actually racing, you might see them run past, or you might run past them or on the bike or whatever. And then it can be a little bit emotional when somebody overtakes you and you're thinking, oh, why are they faster than me? Then your thought goes back to, have I trained enough? Have I eaten properly? Have I done all that? I know for me, and I'm sure yourself, and for everybody who's ever raced, that they've thought about that in the past.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, and it can be emotionally challenging. Um, like a lot of people said, it's if your mind can do it, then your body will just flow, basically. And as soon as you have any negative impacts go through your head, then it can have an adverse effect on how you're feeling. I'm not sure if you agree with
Yeah.
that or not. But I know with my own experience that, yeah, it definitely happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. As I say, I think if you're sort of doing it for more than anything but just the absolute fun of it, you really are, and it's not always a bad thing, but you are putting
Mm.
pressures on yourself, on your body, on your mind.
Yeah.
And triathlons are it's a bit of a taxing sport, right? So, there's a lot of aspects to it. And I think with those individual sports, you tend to think about, yourself and your performance quite a lot.
Mm.
So that's my experiences. Yep, certainly doing it, did it, and getting back into it for all the right reasons. But there are definitely challenges involved with it.
Yeah, and it's a very addictive sport, Like I did it for 10 years, close to 10 years. And I met some amazing people. But in the end, for me, I had to reevaluate what I had to do, what was more important. And that wasn't it, unfortunately.
Yep.
So, I have lost some close friends over that decision, but that's my decision, and that's what I've had to deal with, and that's fine. Like I said, it was definitely my decision, and I've moved on from that. And
Yeah.
I think it is very, yes, it is very addictive. And someone who is now, I won't put a number on it, but you're a little bit older than me, but just a little bit, not much. Um, how would how would you feel like someone your age, when it comes towards, well, let's say your age demographic, comes to thinking about men's health? Because I know a lot of, it can be broken up into, obviously we've got young men, you got middle age, you've got older, you've got the elderly. And I know the mentality for a lot of older men is to, with men's health, is just to kind of sweep it under the carpet and go, just deal with it. I'm not sure about your experiences, but I definitely know when with mine, I was dealing with mental health from probably in my mid 20s, and when there was no real support, and then when obviously I got older, there was a um, more noticeable change in the world when it came to mental health and support for people with mental health. I'm not sure about your upbringing, but just in general, your experiences, how has that been?
Yeah, certainly, Ben. I think you and I've, we've seen significant changes um, in the way that conversations are held around mental health. So particularly in the last, 15 or 20 years, that's kind of when we started to discuss it. It's still one of those things. My age group is much probably more closely aligned to our parents, mindset on it. It's hard to break that, as you say, that stigma of talking about mental health,
Mm.
and I find, people are of my age, in my age group, are reluctant to discuss. A lot of them are reluctant to discuss it, and a lot of people haven't really been exposed to those conversations. Whether
So
that's through,
is that why you think that they would be reluctant to talk about it? So they haven't experienced that in their life?
yeah, well, I think that's part of it, is just the unknown, right? So, and being unsure as to whether they're going to be judged
Yeah.
poorly based on the conversation. Um, but I think people that have been exposed to it it doesn't come easily, but it's, people of my age group are becoming more accepting of those conversations. But I
Yeah.
do definitely think there's still a stigma attached to it, Ben.
Mm. And I know when I was talking to my eldest son, who's 22, we had a really good conversation about it. And there is, in his age group, so 25 and younger, I would think, maybe a little bit older. there's definitely an impact of people in that age group suffering from mental health. And this
Yeah,
is obviously from his experience and his perspective, but it's obviously a lot more understanding within the society with their demographic. And I suppose it has to be because if there's in his eyes, if there are a lot of people who are experiencing mental health, then they will be supported and it'll be more obvious towards those individuals, I suppose. I know
yeah,
with
and
my yeah, go ahead, Bill.
you're right, mate. I was just going to say, yeah. Look, I've had similar conversations with my all of my kids, and they're of a similar age. Um, and yeah, I think that's right. I think there are, there's some significant issues, more or not, I'm not sure, but certainly we hear about it more probably because they're slightly more accepting of the conversations.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's it. It yeah, it, it's it can be difficult, and I think it's upbringing as well. With I'm very open minded about things in the life, in the world, stuff like that. I'm very open minded to everything like that, and I can understand how people deal with their emotions and what can be what avenues are there to best support these people. And I
yeah,
know that um, you know different upbringing for different people, it's not always going to be the same.
yeah,
And I know that can definitely impact. Obviously everybody's different in the world. People have been brought up differently, all that kind of stuff. And I think with my boys, they're being very open towards any issues that they could have. And I think as a parent, yourself, um, I think if you're really open towards understanding what people are dealing with in their life, whether it's good or bad, then there's more of a connection between that age group, if you know what I mean, if that makes sense to
yep,
you. Yeah. Not sure if it makes sense or not. I was waffling on.
yeah, yeah. And look, I think you know, being available for those conversations with your kids as well. That's
Yeah.
something that uh, you know may or may not have been quite so simple in previous generations. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think
that's it.
you know
Yeah.
even I mean, as you say, we're not professionals, right? But
Mm.
not necessarily having the understanding, but finding the time, making the time to just be there and listen is the start, right?
Yeah, that's it. And I've always been very open towards my kids about mental health and stuff like that, and my own experiences. I've dealt with my psychologist for 7 years on and off now. So and it's always interesting because it opens up a can of worms. Really, you think it's
Mm.
about one thing, but then, initially for me, it was because she's a sports psychologist. So it's okay, it's all related to sport, but is it all related to sport?
Yeah,
What's the impact that how it's affecting you while you're trying to compete, for example? So
yeah,
it's not just this, it's this, and that all rolled into one. So it can be very it can be very tricky. And then obviously when we're talking about men's health, but we're also talking about women's health as well. And what I try and do for the community and make some awareness. It's just not about the men; it's about the women as well, and it's about the women who have supported the men over the years. And I've been quite open and honest about all the women who have supported me over the years. I've loved every single one of them. A couple of them have pissed me off once or twice, but I love them all. But it's not, yeah, it's just not about us as men. It's we need to support our women as well. I don't know if your thoughts on that at all. I know um, the women that I've
yeah,
spoken to so far have always had the same thing that said the same thing that men don't talk about their emotions. And I think we know that, but hearing it from them as well might make a difference. I'm not sure. Really don't know.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think it's the old it takes a village kind of concept, isn't it? It's families, it's friends, whatever your network is, and that uh, just having that ability to be open with people. So yeah, and that's part of it is being willing to accept people's input.
Yeah,
So my wife or I've got four sisters, so there's plenty of input from all of those women in my life,
yeah,
and
yeah,
daughters and everyone, and
yeah.
um, being accepting of that is of that information's really important, isn't it? That's a really important part of it.
Yeah, it is. And I've got two sons, and they've had um, a lot of support from the women in their lives.
Yep.
You know, it's interesting because the way that I was growing up and the way that I was raised and what I believe in has had a flow and effect with my sons. And I'm not saying I'm the best parent in the world. No one is, but having that support there for your children, whether they're boys or girls, it really shows a level of trust within that group as well,
Mm.
that they can reach out and talk about things. And when I was having the conversation with my son, exactly what we're doing today, I'm just thinking, oh, this will be interesting because what's he going to say? The conversations between two men, but it's also between a father and son. So
Mm.
it would have been it was interesting. It was a very good conversation. It was very productive, and it was a good insight into what he's experienced at school and through uni as well, and his age group. When we were talking about that, and this is something that you could put a little bit of perspective on as well. Like when I at work, for example, for me, there's a lot of support externally. Now, if we have issues or concerns, we have people that we can talk to. We have an external support. I'm not sure if that's the same with your work.
Yeah. Look, we have a pretty robust support network. Um, Works on a whole heap of layers, but obviously the first layer is workmate to workmate,
Yeah.
one-on-ones. That happens quite a lot.
Mm.
And but that said, um, we have people in place, within our network for that one-on-one conversation as well.
Yeah.
And then, leading further into it with, external support beyond that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, and we have that as well. Have you? I've used it at my work. Have you had the opportunity to use it yourself, or you haven't had a need to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, use that. And I'm actually part of that network. So
Oh, nice.
so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So someone can reach out to you if they've got
Yeah.
concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I know we actually we actually did our mental health first aid course.
We did one
We
together
did.
a couple of years ago, didn't we? Yeah. Yep.
We did. I was just thinking about that then. Yeah, we did. What was your intake of that? Because initially, when I heard about it, because obviously there's first aid certificates,
Yep.
but I never knew about mental health first aid certificates.
Yep.
So, how did you? What did you get out of that? Because I thought it was pretty interesting.
yeah, really interesting. That was my first exposure to that as well, Ben. So
Yeah,
yeah, really interesting. A bit confronting,
yeah,
some of the discussion points, a bit confronting, and a lot of information in a really short period of time, but really useful. I've done a couple more subsequently, and each time you pick up a little bit more, um, being aware of some of the content is makes it less confronting each time, So, and also probably better prepared than to have conversations with people. So,
yeah. That's it.
I
Yeah.
think it's a worthwhile thing. Yeah, and I'll be going back for another refresher next year, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. I've let that slip, and that's my own fault. I can definitely go back and do it, but it's we have mental health first aid officers at work,
Yep.
so which is really good. And they're there to support us. Obviously, they're there for to lend an ear, talk about what that person can do externally as well.
Yep.
So we do have that external support, and I think businesses these days are definitely going on board with having that
Absolutely.
support for people. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, well, certainly my experience is that, in my time, um, in the industry that I'm in,
Mm.
they've embraced it, so it's, um, as I say, some of the older guys, well, some people, but, my generation's probably there's still a bit of stigma attached to it. So getting the conversation started, it's not easy, but certainly the business itself has embraced the concept and do quite a lot of work in that space.
Yeah, and a lot of businesses, if not all businesses, definitely corporate businesses will, or government businesses will definitely have a a mental health plan in place to support their workers. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I know mine does, and I've used them before, which is and it's just not myself. It can be used for family as well.
Family as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm assuming that's probably this very similar to what you have.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's I guess it's that first aid concept. So, you're the Johnny on the spot, aren't you? Um, but you're not expected to be the expert, but maybe to advise people where they can go or who they can contact. So EAP or whatever the support network is set up in the business. That's
Yeah, and
nice.
there's a lot of external support. Like I've found there's a website called Ask Izzy. I'm not sure if you've heard of that at all.
And that, yeah,
Yeah, but it is very it's a good tool. It's
yeah,
available for anybody. It's a good tool to look at what support is there, so you can kind of break it down. If it's accommodation you need, is it for yourself? Is it for a customer? Is it for a friend?
yeah,
What's your age? Where are you? Put in your location. Is it for
mm,
Could it be for family domestic violence? Could be you're homeless. Whatever the situation is, it'll have a list, and then you can go in there and it will give you the contact numbers for people around your area. So,
correct, yeah,
and you can call them up. A lot of people are not aware of that site, um, which is a shame because it's open to anybody. Anybody can
yeah,
have access to it. It's just a website. So Ask Izzy, if you Google Ask Izzy, it will give you that information. I, for my work, I use it pretty frequently. So it's a very handy tool to have, and yeah, and hopefully it'll get some support from those people who need it the best. So yeah.
yeah, absolutely. It is a good tool. I'm familiar with it, so it's yeah. I think it's and there are other, there's some other options out there as well, but that's a crack of that one.
Yeah. There's another one I just can't remember off the top of my head. It is powered by Ask Izzy, and this other one is very similar concepts. You put in the keywords, your location. It has a map of the radius, say from where you are, for example. It'll be like 30 kilometers to the next place, or 5 minutes, or whatever the case is. So it will it'll have a map. It'll show you exactly where it is on the location. So that definitely does help. So yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. All right, Bill. I think I might let you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. It is very. I'm not sure about you, but it is a hot and humid afternoon here in Cairns this afternoon. There's no humidity. Oh, there's no wind, I should say. So it's a bit humid
No,
today.
still you can see. I mean, that's not a screenshot, mate.
Last
That's
screenshot. Oh,
that's
there's a slight breeze on one side and there's absolutely nothing on the other side. So
yeah, right.
yeah, but mate, go
Yeah,
jump in the pool. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'm not sure if you noticed, I had a new addition to my
I
head.
I did, mate. I saw that. That's spectacular. Well done. Did that
Yeah,
hurt?
yeah. A lot of people at work have been asking me about it. All the
Yeah,
same questions. Did it hurt, or is
but
it real? A lot of people thought it was fake. No, it's definitely real.
mate, like a few other things you're rocking. It's a good conversation starter. Hey, it's
Yeah, and that's it. For me, I'm all in. Um, and the conversation was had, are you going to get another one on the other side? And I thought, well, no, because if I do end up shaving my hair, and if I've got tattoos on this side, I'm just going to have a strip down the middle, which is going to look a bit stupid. So no, no,
yeah,
that's it. That's definitely it. I've always said to the boys, no hands, no head. And then
yeah.
my eldest said the other day, I said, oh, I didn't think I would ever see that in my life. And so, well, you have now. So
There you go,
anyway,
mate. Thanks very much. It's
nah,
been
nah, all
good to have a chat.
good. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Stay safe, look after yourself. And it's the same with anybody who's watching this afternoon. Stay safe, look after yourself. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks, mate.
Right, Bill. No worries. Have a good afternoon, eh?
Cheers, mate. You too.